Welcome to How to Grow Garden. So today I'm going to move this hydrangea. It is high summer and it is the wrong time to move anything. But unfortunately I have so much to do, my only option is to move everything all the time, because if I wait till the end of the year I just won't get anything done. In my opinion, the first thing you want to know about digging out a plant is what kind of roots does it have. Does it have a tap root that goes really low, or does it have more of a surface root that's going to stay up here like a root ball, or maybe it's even going to go out really far in all directions. In this case, the root ball is tight, but it does go out a little bit, so it's short and flat like a dinner plate. Okay, so with that information in mind, I'm able to dig gently and remove the dirt all the way around. So I've made a little moat around it. Then I added water, or actually as I was digging I added water, and the water's still going. So this is actually filling up with water and the water is seeping into the ground, making it prime place to plant the next thing. But in the meantime, this plant, the roots are not drying out because they are staying nice and wet. And that is the most important thing, is to keep your roots wet. If they dry out even for a moment, forget it, all bets are off. It'll take a long time for your plant to recover. It might recover, it probably will recover, but it will take a long time. And in the process, your leaves will wilt and possibly die, and you might even force your plant into going into dormancy until next year. So keeping it wet is the most important thing. Now over in the new spot, I've dug a hole, not quite this big, but about twice the size of the hydrangea, and definitely pretty deep. It's very, very deep. Now hydrangeas prefer well-draining soil on the bottom, but they want compost, humus, manure, other such things directly under their feet. So they want food, but then they want to make sure that the water goes through and it doesn't stay there and they don't end up with wet feet, because obviously their little roots will rot if they get too wet. So if they stay in wet water, not if they get too wet, but if they stay long-term in wet water, So what I've done is I've dug a big hole, and I took out all the sand, which is great if you're on sand because that's going to be well draining. I took out a whole bunch of sand and I replaced it partially with what's here, because this is more soil than sand, and also with a mixture of compost and horse manure and a mushroom compost, or yes, rotten mushrooms. Okay, so whatever it is that you choose doesn't really matter. In my case, it could be goat poop or it could be manure from the chickens, as long as it's vintage compost or vintage manure, something that's sat and rotted for a really long time. So you know it's black, it smells good, and it's going to feed the plant, not burn it. But I need to gently lift this out, move it over, and put it in place. Then I have to rotate the plant until I have exactly the right view, because obviously there's a front and back. This part is higher than what's down there, and if I tilt it right now, you can see that the plant is actually facing that direction. The flowers are all going that way. So I don't want the flowers up against the wall. I need to rotate it the other way. Then I'm going to backfill with some more soil. I'll bring more soil over and put it on top, and then I'll put some of that sand back on top of that, and I'll level the whole thing out. Then I want to do a well, like a little dam going all the way around, and then I want to water it. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention, don't know why I did, is before I put this in, I need to take this hose over there and fill that hole with water, allow that water to sink all the way through, fill it back up again, and let that sink, and then add my plant. The reason why you want to do it twice is because that water, as it moves through, is saturating the soil, and the more saturated the soil can be, it's not really a permanent and forever thing. Obviously it's going to eventually dry, but the happier your plant will be in transition, it's less likely to go into shock. So I want to take the hose and fill that, and then I'm going to carry this over, plop it in, bring some of this soil, put it on top, and then tamper it in, which means push it in really nice and firm once it's in the position I like. And it's going to be right up against the fence. So I just finished clearing this whole area. I took out all the grass roots and other such things, and it's going to be up against the back side of or the front side, actually, when you come in the driveway, the front side of the carport, just inside the fence where we're putting a new gate. So this will fill that space nicely, and then we'll put some dahlias and other things in front of that, and I'll show you how to move that in another episode. So we're good? I think we're good. I think I have all my thoughts straight. I'm going to attempt to move this thing. It's pretty big. I mean, having a second person would be really nice, but a luxury I don't get. So this little piece right here looks really good. It's a long stem going vertically long stem going horizontally across the ground, and it's definitely got roots. So I'm going to give it a cut here. And then gently, see if I can yank that out. Here we go, a completely new separate plant. So if I put this back in the ground and I pile it up with a lot of manure, vintage well-rotted compost or manure, the roots, the bottom of these would touch the ground or would be covered in ground, and they would produce more roots. So that would be a real option to get more. If I then wanted to cut it up, to pull it out of the ground maybe in the fall, and at that time come back and do some snippings, because I'm not seeing anything else that has a really good root system that I could really snip from. Okay. Can you tell I'm getting a little dirty here? Here's the hard part. Let's pick it up gently and move it. Alright, this piece looks like it's going to come off, but it's only snapped a little bit, I'm not sure. I'm just going to pull it off. Let's see if we can make some cuttings from it. So, wow, I think the only piece I snipped off was the piece with the buds. That's nice. Okay, so let's turn it. See if that works. I think what I want is it for it to kind of go this way across the fence. So something like this, perhaps. I'm going to make sure the roots are down, not that any of them are squished up, because we are putting it into a hill. And I want to also make sure they're not too squished anywhere. So let's give these roots some space to grow, but also stay kind of within the mud pile. Put the compost on top. The other thing is this compost is going to hold a lot more moisture than the sand. So that'll be good too. There we go, and now let's just fill the sand back on top so it's still all nice and level with everything else. In this case, the sand will almost act like a mulch. Try to make your dam in such a way that the water stays. There's a little retaining wall and the water is not pouring out. If it does pour out, that's okay. Just build it back up and then re-water it. So that was the hydrangea. Thanks for watching. I'm Scarlett, and I'll see you in the next episode. Toodaloo.